All right, students, it is almost the end of the semester, and so this week you will be starting on your final portfolio. So everything is built up to this. So what you'll be doing is you'll be provided with, of course, the typical materials here in week one, the first week of the the final portfolio work, right? So, so chapter 7 is the chapter that you will be working with and reading and looking at. And so I wanted to do this video for you so that you could see um, what, uh, get a little bit of feedback from me and understanding from me as to what you'll be working on. So, as usual, PACT, P-A-C-T, purpose, audience, all that. Your purpose for the final portfolio is simply to reflect on your own work and create a a great final portfolio that includes a memo that you will write to discuss your overall process and work in the term, in the semester. And of course, you'll have everything that you need to help you do that in the guidelines. So, yeah, your audience is basically just me. So that's really who you'll be writing to. That's pretty much it. Just audience is me. Purpose is to reflect and show me what you've done and prove to me that you deserve the grade that you feel you deserve. Right? That's kind of what you'll be doing. All right. On the next page, we have the other two items. C, the conventions are basically these items. The reflective component is a 2 to 3 page long. Again, I don't go by word counts, so just make sure it's 2 to 3 pages long. Memo, where you will reflect on and talk about your progress throughout the whole semester. And again, you'll see a lot more about this in the guide. Okay. The final project will total at least 16 pages. Now, what that means is the projects themselves. It's only talked about the projects themselves. So what you'll have um, the the annotated bib counts for that. So however long your annotated bib is, you'll have those pages. Let's say it's 3 pages, and then let's say you have maybe a works cited and everything. Your total length of your uh, report. Let's say it's maybe 10 pages. So there's 13 pages right there. And then your editorial, all it'd have to be is a few more pages to get that 16. That's not something to really even worry about. As long as you have a good solid 3 projects, annotated bibliography, research report, and editorial, you'll be fine. Okay. You may also choose, or your instructor may ask you to include specific informal writing assessment assignments that demonstrate your learning and improvement in certain key areas. Now that is what your miscellaneous items will be. So you will have the miscellaneous items. At least you have to have at least 7 of those. And again, that's all shown in the guidelines for you. So finally, it's clearly organized to showcase your learning. You need to make sure it's a nice, well organized, very attractive, at least to a professional degree or portfolio. It should not look like you just slapped it together, right? It needs to be a nice portfolio. Okay. Um, Now, notice this right here. This is already, I'm sure I already talked about this at the beginning of the semester, but it bears reminding here at the end that if you have not turned in any of your the major projects, in other words, if I never saw your annotated bib, or if I never saw your report, or for some reason I never saw your editorial, or don't see your editorial, then that means it's basically going to be considered a failed paper. And if you fail any one of the 3 projects, you've only got 3, you fail one of those, that's definitely going to highly affect your overall grade. Highly affect it. So you just want to make sure that you have all 3 of those in there and that I have seen them and given you feedback on them. Because if not, then it's going to really hurt your grade. All right, trouble spots. Think about, so here's some things that you might want to think about as you're working on the final portfolio and assembling all your work. How are you going to back up your work and show evidence of your revisions? You don't want to lose the whole thing. Of course, that's simply just make sure you keep your work saved. Now, I've always suggested that probably the best way to make sure you don't lose your work as you're working on it, especially if you're working on it over a week or 2 or 3, is to email a copy of your work to yourself after you have finished it, or for the day. Let's say you finish writing that, you finish beginning the first few pages of your uh, your main portfolio, and it's getting late, and so you're going to wrap it up. It's a good idea not only to save it, but to also email a copy of it to you so that acts as a backup. That way, if something weird happens and your computer loses it or something, you've always still got it there in the email. So that's a suggestion I always make to my students. All right, number 2, how will you shape the way your audience encounters your work? What arrangements might be best demonstrate? Well, you're given this. Do you need a table of contents? Yes, you absolutely need that. And again, this is all discussed in the guidelines. So that's taken care of more or less for you. You just have to follow it. How will you show your growth and revisions? Blah, blah, blah. Same thing. This will all be done with your highlights and memo and your annotations and using the comments. That's how you'll annotate them, is using the comment features. You can include a reflective preface before each project if you want. That's up to you. It's not a requirement, but that is something you could do. So that's the answer to that question. The assessment, of course, will be on the inside back cover of this actual textbook, the JAC, you'll see a very brief, minimalistic version of the goals of the course and the rubric. Okay, the more extensive rubric is in these Roman numeral pages, and that more extensive rubrics show you much more precisely what you need to do and how you need to make sure your final projects and everything are all great. Okay, now your due date is going to be 3 weeks from now, not including the holiday week. So holiday week will be next week, or not. So you got next week this week you're actually starting in. That's the 17th. Then you got the 24th, that's your Thanksgiving week. And then you got the week of the 1st through the 7th. That is your second week. And if I'm not mistaken, your third week will be the week beginning with the 8th. And so, in other words, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks left. And so at the end of this week, on the 12th, that is when your overall final portfolio will be due. Not on Sunday. It has to be, it's a requirement. The college requires us to have you turn in your final project on the very last day of class. And so that's going to be the 12th. Okay? Or whatever the last day of class is. I think it's the 12th, but whatever the last day of the class is, that's when it's actually due. So that's the due date. Now, anything else I need to tell you about? Well, of course, there's always the usual tricks and tips, something for you to read and think about, and consider using. There's these suggested readings that you might do. Again, if you were to read one of these and then kind of like maybe take notes on it or like write a response about it, that could be a miscellaneous item, right? Remember, you got to have the 7 miscellaneous items. That could be one of them, just by doing something like that. But that's obviously just one of the many things you can do. Next page is an activity, making a revision plan. Now, I'm not sure off the top of my head. Let me look at these next few pages here. Reading activity, brainstorming for the reflection, looking back. So one of these pages is what you have to do for the major assignment. I'm going to pause this and take a look for that real quick. Okay, I'm back. So these pages, any of these pages could be pages that you could complete and use as your final activity, right? Your final miscellaneous item, I mean. Now, page let's see, this is page, this is the peer review for the final portfolio. I'm not sure yet. I think we're going to be doing that. So that you won't, obviously you won't want to do anything with this because it's going to be for the final portfolio. Let's see. Okay, next page. This is page 97. This is the page that you cannot use for the for your final seventh miscellaneous item because it is required for your final um, exercise. So the exercise 7 would be based on page 97. Okay, so you cannot use that for a miscellaneous item. And then there's the conclusion, and that's about it. So there's not a whole lot for there's not a whole lot to do with chapter 7. So that's pretty much it. There's other videos this week that you will be able to look at to help you. That will be the end of this one.